You.
Get some more time during Q&A.
Yeah. This specific theme I'm going to speak on today, critical infrastructure, is something which you would rarely find any mention whenever there is any security dialogue or any joint statement between India or per se any other country. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out all the specific points, like being very much straightforward. What are the threat perceptions, what both the countries are facing, what are the overlapping areas which actually pave the way for having a strategic partnership in this specific area. Just an introduction, what exactly is critical infrastructure and why are they known so? These are these specific infrastructure conduits which range from your water supplies to your banking, your finance institutions, your healthcare, transportation, everything, which actually is required for a healthy economy and a healthy society. So seamless functioning of these infrastructures is very much required if you want to have an economy in which your goods are flowing, your services are flowing, and on top of that, your capital is flowing. So a lot of things which are being covered by critical infrastructure are there, but the main question arises then, the main issue arises when there is a geopolitical dimension to it, where nation states, non-state actors, everyone is looking for domination over each other. They want to control the information, they want to control the access, they want to control the cyberspace as well. So how do you ensure that you have a seamless access of this particular technology, but similarly, whenever the time arises, you can deny the access to your adversary? So changing offense-defense balance when it percolates into cyber domain is the main issue, and critical infrastructures are the one who are highly dependent on cyberspace. So on cyber security, you would find a lot of debate right now, but critical infrastructure is the one which has remained untouched upon from any kind of debate or dialogue as of now. But again, bringing on the salience for national security perspective, they are very important, as I have mentioned about earlier, that how they are required for a seamless operation of a healthy economy or a healthy society. So it has come up in the definition which we have seen from coming up from the EU or from the US. So variety of things, everyone has different dimension, everyone has different understanding of this area. So for example, US has 17 odd industries which contribute to critical infrastructure. In the case of India, it could be 12 or 13 hardly. In the case of EU, it's more. So it depends, how do you perceive your infrastructure depending on how do you think which service or which particular component is more important for you. Accordingly, this is the list which has come from India. All these are 9, 11, 12 main areas have been covered, and government is working hard. How do we secure these specific infrastructures? But why they are important is, the thing is, they all are interlinked and interrelated. So there are commodities which pass on from one entity to other, and like the manifestation in case of passing on information, in case of passing on commodities or goods is very important for us to understand, because if one of these sectors goes down, it has so much of interlinkages that many others are affected. So sometimes we call it as a cascading effect, which could be dampening or which could be escalating. So just moving on to why exactly India and US should collaborate, I'll just put on some context that what exactly are the threats and who are the people what is their motivation and what are the vectors which they adopt. So it could be nation state, a non-state actor, it could be people who are from within, it could be employees who are actually working with you. Again, what are the vectors they could adopt? It could be case of a malware, it could come through a removable media, pen drive or something. It could be a well advanced, which we call as advanced persistent threat, APTs, which normally are supposedly to be nation states, or which is supposedly to be funded by nation states. Again, embedded systems, your application, client-side attacks. So list is numerous, but again, looking at targets, what are targets? Your facilities, data, networks. This could be residing in your research institution. This could be part of your defense contractor, his networks. This could be your government. This could be your foreign ministries, computers or networks. So this could be anything. It could be your industrial control system as well, which is very important area coming up now. So the threats vary a lot. It's not just about a kind of deliberate attempt, or it's not something like you can expect a specific country to mount an attack on you, but it could come naturally. A disaster is very important factor here, because when you are preparing for resilience, you have to undertake all the scenarios which lead to degradation of the services. So it could be a manned attack, it could be a human error, or it could come from any natural resource as well. Again, within that, cyber is gaining salience. Attacks in form of denial of service, in form of worms, Trojan, malware, whatever is coming up. Physical attacks is something which normally is kept out of discussion. But a physical attack which is well coordinated can have crippling effect. It can bring your entire industry down if it's well coordinated or planned accordingly. So your threats are varying in nature. So they come from different sources. They adopt different vectors. So a three-dimensional security is very much needed right now. Operation Red October is one of the examples where most of the countries found malwares who were involved in espionage, and I mean, a lot of industries were victim of it. Government or trade and commerce, your nuclear facilities were victim of it. So this explains the magnitude it can take if an attack has been founding support from a state or maybe from a well-funded organization, which could be the example of Al-Qaeda or LET. They have enough motivation to do this, and the way the cyberspace has given them the leverage of having very few tools to develop a very highly advanced threat or advanced attack. So how this common threat perception between India and US we can leverage is because terrorism in cyberspace is mounting up. We have a common adversary, I would say, if we go ahead with the kind of economic confrontation we might face with China. So political, industrial, military espionage is very much probable, which gives us one more point to collaborate upon. Militarization of cyberspace. Well, US has already done it. US Cyber Command is already active since 2010. North Korea is quite known to possess military capability. China is doing it. So that again is one of the area where India might find some kind of synergy with the US to develop its own military capability in cyberspace. Our critical infrastructures are the one which use technologies which are like globally spread. You have vendors which supply it for the US, for the government of US or for the US industries. The same vendors supply to us. So once your technology is similar, your threats, your vulnerability is similar. Moving on to the investment part, what stakes does US have in cybersecurity in India is as simple as that. US has massive investment in India. So securing its own investments in India is one of the very motivational factor for US to ensure that the cyberspace within the control of India should be sanitized, or it should be monitored in such a way that if any threat is there, US should be able to, or if at all we need any help, we can have a kind of mechanism where we can exchange information. How it began in the US? It began in 1998 onwards when the decision directive came from the president, which laid out some guiding principles that why do we secure our critical infrastructure. That was the point which came during Clinton's time. 2001 onwards, there has been like a lot of focus on this area. So a directive came in 2003 which established critical infrastructure security to be part of Department of Homeland Security. So following then, everything has moved under the auspices of Department of Homeland Security. Again, very recently, Obama again reiterated that this is an emerging area. So in 2013, one more directive came which again established about the security and resiliency of critical infrastructures. Again, including the number of sectors, it has become now 16. All the states, all the federal states are stakeholders in it. Most of the agencies, most of the governmental departments, be it state, be it Homeland Security or be it Commerce, everyone is stakeholder in it, including Department of Defense. So, what exactly happened in India? In India, we woke up quite late, but the main amendment was made in 2008 to IT Act, which paved the way for setting up a center called as NCIIPC, which stands for National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center in 2014. Jan 2014, the gazette came in, the notification came in. It's charged with some 5-6 main responsibilities, which are clearly laid down here. So it's more of an advisory, it's more of a kind of enabler, a facilitator, not exactly a security agency. But what do we draw out of the entire experience US has been having? So if you look at the directive implementation measures which US has put across, they have laid down these principles, hardly 5 or 6 in number, but with definite time frame, which objective has to be achieved by when. This is something which completely lacks from any of the directive which has come in public domain in India, because I have gone through the National Cybersecurity Policy in 2013. It's completely vague. It just says about something. There is no time frame. There is no specification about who is the responsible agency, who should be, who's in charge of what. So these are the few things which I believe that we have a lot to learn from the US when it's up to this specific area. Why do we cooperate? Again, threat perception is similar. Threats out there are similar, and we have mutual security needs. What we need is what they need. We can go for a kind of research and development which is jointly between both the countries. Communication and networking hardware is something which we definitely need, but again, challenges would always be there, which I mean, lots of questions might be there. Why do we do it with the US, where NSA has been alleged of eavesdropping on our networks? But I mean, these challenges we have to overcome gradually over dialogue, because you have to step on something to go to the next step, as simple as that. As far as sharing of intelligence and sensitive information is concerned, again, that depends on mutual trust. Once we reach that step, I think these things will simply seem to be quite small from now onwards. So, a very simple conclusion, threats are similar, threat perception is pretty much common, and technology is something which has made us vulnerable, and it is the answer, it is the key which is going to make us secure as well. Thank you.
Reusable space vehicles, is it a space shuttle, something like a space shuttle? The reusable satellite.